NG again, rinse and repeat. Yeah, it broke. The CK broke again. It was man, it was big break too. It was disastrous. Basically, what I was dealing with is I was creating a container that had all of the things that I was trying to put in the boxes on the shelf in my ship. So I'm trying to track the skins changing or not changing on them and their ability to spawn. The mechanics assigned to the ship and the ship environment is different than outside the ship. So I've got a test case where I built a container, which is what I was doing when everything crashed. When it crashed, I basically I lost about 6 hours work, and then I didn't because the CK does an automatic backup. And when I was looking into the issue, I discovered that the CK has an automatic backup function, and I was able to retrieve my work from when I started, which was a good starting point because that's where I completed the museum hab and started fiddling around with some other stuff and eventually getting around to building this container which would house which would be I wanted at first I was going to put these cases with the elite um, loot reward keyword um, cases on the landing pad where my ship was. And then I decided no, because I wanted to keep these two mods, my landing pad shipbuilder mod, isolated from my hab mod. So I built a standalone, medium size survivalist shipping container with wall shelves and added all of those um, case loot. What do they call it? Loot weapon case that have got the keyword for being a loot reward, and it's a condition that it creates the type of scenario that I need for persistence in those weapons, and I wanted to test that. So I built that case. Well, somehow or another, in the middle of building all that that container got attached to my museum mod, which nothing was open except the render cell that I created that shipping container in, which I've created lots and lots and lots and lots of structures, big structures, complex structures, and I know what I'm doing with all of that. But somehow or another, that shipping container got tied with that hab, blew up the lighting bloom, made a duplicate of my hab 90 degrees across itself, and just totally hosed my mod. And I had to go to a backup because trying to clean up that mess, I would just wouldn't do it. That'd just be ridiculous. Um, that's why you do backups, is so that when stuff happens, you've got a backup solution. Unfortunately, the last backup that I actually made was 3 days prior. I thought I had keeping my backups faster, but time goes by. I kind of, I guess I'm a time traveler and don't pay any attention to time. and was thinking that I had backed up a couple hours ago, and now a couple hours ago was the 14th, and this was the 17th. So yeah, but the creation kit's built-in automatic save saved my butt, and I was able to extract a an autosave from 4:30 a.m., which was when I started, um, and would have contained all of the things that I made. Let me back this up for a moment here and show you something. So what I'm looking at here is keeping track of these skins and what happened. And I was able to recover all of that, go in and make another container. But voila, after doing the NG, and I had to NG several times in order to go through the process, deleting my custom INI that is tied to the creation kit, and unloading and loading and NGing to flush all of the save file data. And actually, the whole process of going through and determining which backup was the safe one to go to with losing the least amount of data, I wound up doing 6 NGs. But it's no big deal. I mean, it's just as part of it. The creation kit is fragile, and it just comes with the turf. But if you look here, you'll notice that this tombstone on a platter has got the elite skin. And so I'm coming into the ship having just NG'd, having just built the ship, and this is my first entry into the ship. And this is what I see. I see that um, I have the updated weapon skins on my display weapons. So there it is. And so I'll go ahead and start walking through the ship to check everything out. That stuff's all updated, but that stuff had been updating on this one. It's the ones that were on the platter were ones that were consistently not. And that Beowulf on the wall is updated to the weapon skin. So that's a Beowulf on a platter. But the tombstone on the platter had not been updating, but this time it is now updated. The skins were never updated on that. The copy of that I used does not have the skin. Now this is updated, and it's the first time that this is shown that it's got that skin. The hard target here consistently, the one that's on this display of these 3 long rifles is consistently here. This tombstone on a platter is updated. I continuously forget to remove that case. I'll have it removed next time I go into the creation kit if I remember. It's played out. It's neat, and I need to clean up that spot. All right, so here I have my cases, but they're empty. They did not populate, not here in the ship. They got the contents got flushed, but the cases remain, which is fine that the cases remain. I have other ways, and this now look here. I've got the skins on my inflictors. They're updated. My hard target did not update nor anything on this panel, but this stuff is all the same pack in. The only difference between this particular pack-in and the other ones is there's a lot of complexity to this. Um, this series of panels here was a pack-in to start with. It's got these wall pieces that are another element and part of the ship. And then it's got all these other elite mods, weapons that are here. And all this stuff was assembled and then locked together. And I think it's probably a fairly complex pack in with complexity being a series of items that were grouped together. And the item count, I don't know if that's affecting it. I'm not really sure what all is affecting it, but there are some details that are different about this and the others. The others are more simple, less um, less parts, and but I don't know. I don't know why the inflictors would update when none of this other stuff does, especially the hard target. And and I've got some information on that. Um, there apparently in the original base game, the hard target was one of the weapons that had a future expansion, future feature already built in with the ability to accept a weapon scan, even though there technically was not considered a weapon scan um, available for it. But it had that built into um, that object. It had the extra field built into the object. And according to feedback that I've gotten through searches, it's that being there in the base game has an advantage in the lookup for recognizing that that feature exists and finding it and applying it to the end objective, the actual display result that you get, versus weapons that did not have that, did not get the update put into um, the base Starfield ESM. They got added in as a game expansion, um, extra mod, and it makes a extra step that under detailed or stress conditions or um, when situations get complex, the system fails to find that. That's the reinterpretation of the information that I had. So anyway, I NG, I rebuild my ship. And I'm monitoring the results of the weapons. The first time I walk into the ship, everything pretty much is reskinned except for that display wall in the museum armory. Um, and but the inflictors on that display wall are showing a skin where nothing else did show a skin. And so after I do all of that, I get back into the creation kit, make another stab at building the container now then that I've NG'd and the game is stable again, and successfully build the container and drop it. And we'll see those results in just a moment. But everything else looks pretty good. These are the new Shattered Space FanDuel armor sets. This one and one of them in the back. that we just passed. I like those. I thought those were some real nice additions. That's the War Dog armor, the UC War Dog. But Tombstone doesn't have its skin anymore. Second time I come in the ship, or first time I exit and return to the ship, boom, the skin is off of the Tombstone in on a platter. But the Beowulf and the Inflictors and the Hard Target are maintaining their skin. And I don't know if all of those items are on the original access to future expansion having a skin. But they seem to consistently be more likely to display the skin than not. And the Tombstone seems to be one that tries to display it but loses it pretty quickly. And then for some reason, that display wall in the museum armory has never worked, with exception to the inflictors now are consistently showing the updated skin. So every time I sit down and get back up is a time that I've logged in and logged back out. That's a way to keep track of um, closing and going back into the game and checking results. And every time I do that, it's to see, because the game restarts and I wind up back in the ship or leaving the ship and coming back in the ship, and checking the conditions of everything to see what changes and what um, is staying stable. I like the results of this, though. This interior and the habs. So I logged off and logged back on, and this is where you may not have noticed it at the beginning of the video when I'm coming off of the starting point on the landing pad over there, the base game landing pad. This container was sitting there, but the container was sitting there was a ghost of the broken container. And see, if you notice, let's back that up. If you notice, I don't know if you can see this right here. There's the weapons that were on the rack. Now, when I came back in and I noticed that that box was here, it was kind of orphaned. It said that it was a hidden item, but it was plainly in sight. And I came in and I deleted it. And then later I noticed that the shelves were there when I was looking in the creation kit, and deleted the shelves, but I didn't pick up on the weapons being there, and I didn't snap. But the weapons are still there from the previous container that screwed up on me. So it was working to an extent, but somehow or another, The handles got all screwed up, and the kit blew up again. It's real fragile. There's an entry in the INI file that was suggested that is supposed to help prevent that kind of issue, and I added that, and then did my cleanup. It's just it goes with the turf with the creation kit. I mean, it is what it is. The creation kit allows me to do some things, but it's not AutoCAD. It's what it is, and it's fragile, and um, and it's just the way it goes. I probably lost more time fixing things in the creation kit that blew up than I've actually spent creating stuff. And that may be just a perception, but I think it's true. I think I've probably spent 2 to 3 times more in fixing broken stuff that the creation kit blows up on. But that probably, I mean, it probably can be mitigated by having better knowledge, more knowledge and experience with the creation kit, and developing methods where uh, I know the limits, and flush and do things that prevent getting backed into corners. And I'm starting to recognize some symptoms on all of that. So I'll reload, I go into the creation kit, and I load this site again because I noticed those weapons floating out there, and I'm like, I thought I cleaned all that up, and clearly they're not showing here. They're there, but they are not showing here. So they're orphaned somehow, which might mean that, that's a detail. When you open the creation kit, um, it can be fresh and you've done nothing, and it throws warnings. And the warnings will be stuff that was built by the game. This is missing, that's not there, this is referencing something that doesn't exist, blah blah blah, so forth. It's just it's a mess. Um, so it can be there's I've worked with better tools, but this is the deal with this tool. See, all this stuff is here in this container outside the ship. All of these items spawned. Now, I haven't looted them. I'm going to let them stay out here, and I'm going to continue to check them. Now, what I did do, though, is I did go over there and loot the ammo box. Not that I need ammo, but I want to see, because it's supposed to replenish itself, and it didn't have any 50 cal ammo in there, and I'd done an edit where it's supposed to give me heavy fuses, light fuses, and 50 cal ammo. And so I'm waiting to see if that actually starts functioning or what happens. But every single one of these boxes has their item in it. And so I know that those wrappers were built correctly and they're functioning to expectation outside the ship, out in the normal environment. And so I can actually take this container is now a wrapped up item. It's a pack in, and I can drop that anywhere. And that's part of the my habs mod. I can put that anywhere I want to put it, and I just happen it was just convenient, and I put it here at the Argos extractor, but I could drop it anywhere and make that available. But the reason that I made it wasn't because I needed the weapon, because I can just pull those weapons out of the console command. It's because I want to test um, these skins and what I'm running into, to be able to get data and find out what's consistent, what's not consistent, so that I can try to isolate what's going on with that and resolve it so that I can get my displays to display the dang weapon skin. They're doing it on some of it. They're not doing it on all of it, but it may require getting X at it. I keep getting the information. You go in. What you got to do is you got to go in with X edit. You got to do an edit on the actual hex file and enter in, duplicate from the hard target the field where it says that it's got access, that it can have another skin. Even though there's not another skin available, it's ready for another skin, and it points to a different object that is in the base Starfield ESM file, and makes it where it is less complex and it has a uh, a more direct path, and that functions better than uh, the later updates, which add the update for the weapon to be able to have that extra skin field um, in another additional mod. So, for instance, the base game of Starfield has a 6000 series mod. It's or well, it's not 6000. It's 006, which is for the empty habs. And then if you have the Shroud Premium Pack, you need the 007. And then if you've got Armada, I think that's 050. And if you've got Shattered Space, you've got one that says Shattered Space on it. And what those do is they add new features to the game, and there's a load order which those will load, and the load order for the game always is going to be throwing a priority on Starfield ESM because it's the base game. And so anything that is in the Starfield base game ESM um, apparently gets priority attention for features when it comes to something like the weapon scan field. And so that's the information that I got that explains why the hard target has a higher tendency and to display that weapon scan, even though it's not displaying it on that one wall, but nothing is displaying it on that one wall, with the exception of the inflictors. So I don't know. We'd be tracking it anyway.